Hey everyone, it's Jonathan, and I just wanted to come in here and let you know that I'm taking a bit of time off, but also going forward, I think I'm going to be switching to a roughly every other week release schedule. I feel like I've said this before and then I revert back to a weekly schedule soon after, but I think I'm going to have to stick to it this time, depending on how busy I am and what I'm releasing. I've gotten away with a fairly regular weekly schedule for most of this year, as I've done a lot of episodes that were made for multiple podcasts. I had a lot of crossover with Every Version Ever and Wonderland Wednesday, but the next bunch of episodes I'm going to be working on for this podcast are specifically for this podcast. They might simultaneously release on another podcast or eventually end up as part of another show, but I'm making them specifically to premiere here, and with having 3 channels and or podcasts that I'm trying to work on simultaneously, plus a full-time job, the busier I get, the more I'm having to figure out what I can and can't prioritize over the next few months. The good news is, going into next year, I'm going to be focusing a lot more on very well-known titles, as I'm going to be trying to prioritize the official canon a bit more than I have been. I haven't fully decided what the release schedule is going to be, but I may be at least temporarily setting aside my miniseries release model, the way I've done things mostly from the beginning of the podcast. I'm probably going to be doing that for the rest of the year, but probably somewhat into the next year as well. For starters, the next episode I'm releasing is an episode on Captain EO, the Michael Jackson Disneyland show from the 80s, which I realized was going to be episode 99 of the podcast, and then after that I'm doing Sleeping Beauty, which I'd planned to follow up with the Maleficent films, but once I realized that Sleeping Beauty was going to be episode 100, I thought how perfect would it be to have 101 Dalmatians as episode 101, because 101 Dalmatians comes directly after Sleeping Beauty in the Disney canon, so it was just too perfect to pass up. So that is currently the plan, and 101 Dalmatians will likely come out towards the beginning of December. After that, I'll need to see how my holidays are going to be before I decide what's coming next. I do also have 3 episodes on the Star Wars prequel trilogy that I'd planned to release at some point this year. However, I might hold off on those because I'm also very tentatively planning to do another holiday specials episode this year as well. Last year on my main channel, Katie Fabric and I recorded a few episodes on the animated Christmas specials that came out in November and December of 2023, and I'm hoping we'll have time to do the same thing again this year, but it will depend entirely on our schedules, and I know we're both super busy, so I feel like I can't guarantee it yet. I just want to. Last year there were several Disney holiday specials that we did an episode on, and that served as my season finale here. I don't yet know if Disney has enough stuff coming out to make an episode like that worth it again, so I don't actually know if I'll get to it or not, but I would love to do at least one holiday episode to cap off the year, if at all possible. I'll see what works out. If I'm able to get another episode recorded for December, I'm thinking I'll save the Star Wars episodes for next year and then release them weekly in either January or February. That way I don't have to take as much time off as I usually do, because for all of my podcasts I pretty much always take off most, if not all of January to record new episodes. If I do a weekly release for episodes like that, ones I've already completed because they were originally for another podcast, I will also likely go to a temporary weekly schedule for those, and then if I've got something like the bonus movie marathon or some Disney adjacent episodes to share, since they're already ready to go, I can either slot them into the gaps between our regular Disney episodes here, or if I've got a bunch, like the Star Wars miniseries, they can just release weekly all in a row. At some point early next year, I'm going to be finishing out the Silver Age. We still have the Sword in the Stone and the Jungle Book after we finish up Sleeping Beauty and 101 Dalmatians this year. Technically, there's also Mary Poppins as well if you want to include that as part of the Silver Age, and I probably will, and I'll probably see what my schedule is like before I decide if I'm going to pair that with Mary Poppins Returns or not. Like I said, my miniseries format is going to at least temporarily be set aside. As much as I would love to do everything, with as busy as I've been lately, I can't 100% commit to a miniseries based on all the spin-off media for all titles. At least yet, though I definitely will try in the future. 101 Dalmatians and the Jungle Book in particular have so many spin-offs. I just do not have time to do everything right now. I will definitely get to as many as I can eventually, but I'm thinking I will likely move to doing more of what I did recently with Alice in Wonderland, and I'm planning to do next year with Cinderella, and come back for a follow-up miniseries at some point in the future. As much as I'd love to do everything in a franchise in one shot, with as busy as I've been feeling like I should prioritize the canon a bit more. I started reviewing the Disney canon from the beginning with Snow White all the way back in 2018 on my YouTube channel, and we're now 6 years later and I'm still in the Silver Age. I'd really love to go a bit faster. So, like I said, I'm taking some time off at the beginning of this month, but I'm planning on being back on November 13th with Captain EO. This is one I've been looking forward to for probably years. I've been so curious about this thing, and I'm so glad Jenna and Katie were finally able to join me to dive into this bizarre piece of Disney history. I think that's all I've got for today, so thanks for listening, and we'll see you soon for Captain EO.